Hey there. Have you ever had a circumstance whereby you really wished you could remember a specific day or set of events from the past, but just couldn't bring it to mind? If so, then this video is for you. Today we're going to focus on the methods and approaches to improving recall. Now, I'm not talking about recalling information, facts and figures that you've deliberately memorized. I'm talking about remembering the everyday real life events that have occurred during the time you've been alive, your experiences. Now, I must be clear that the advice I'm about to offer isn't from any specific study or any school of memory. It's from my own experience. You see, I've been fascinated by memory and the workings of the mind for a long time. And thus, I tend to make notes of when things don't quite come to mind like I'd wish them to. So I noticed that often when people would ask me about details of events in the past, I couldn't recall them like I wanted. Sometimes it would be something like a party or a meeting I was at, or sometimes it was something I'd said or some exchange. And although I knew this happened with everyone at some point in their life, I wanted to see if this was improvable, whether this was something that with the correct approach and with practice could be improved and perfected. I found that once I'd made this decision, it definitely proved to be so. Indeed, that decision is the first piece of advice I would offer anyone. So, tip number 1, cheerfully embrace every opportunity to recall past events. If you look at the people around you, you'll notice that those with poor memories tend to give up very quickly. If they're asked for a piece of information, they will see if it comes to mind, and if it doesn't, they will immediately say that they can't recall it. Those with better memories have a habit of undertaking that challenge. They will take a few moments to see whether or not they can remember. This has grown confidence in their memory and allowed them to keep practicing, gaining that information and bringing those events back to their mind's eye. And thus, their abilities improve rather than stagnate. Now, you may have noticed I mentioned the practice of taking some time, and that's my second tip. Make sure that you do take time to recall. In the modern day, it's understandable that people may expect things to be there instantly, like an internet search, but the human consciousness isn't like that. So, make sure if someone asks you something, you create the space for you to genuinely engage with that undertaking. So they ask you whether you can recall what you gave them for their birthday. Say to them, give me a few moments. Make sure they don't give you the punchline so you really can practice. Don't tell me, I'm sure it's in there somewhere. And if you do need to, ask them a few questions that could help you zone in on that particular area. Was it at your birthday party? That will keep them distracted long that you can think about it, and it will allow you to get your mind in the right kind of area. If, unfortunately, in that circumstance you don't get a chance, sometimes people will just fill you in, or you'll be in the middle of something else, book in some time in the evening or when you've got some spare time, maybe when travelling, just to go into that memory and really explore it when you've got that space. This will refresh the memory for you, but it will also help the parts of your consciousness in charge of recall to have a good workout. And now, this brings me to my third tip. Make sure you focus on small details. Many people, when they initially find they can't remember something, try to pull the whole day into their mind at once. And this is not possible. Our inner filing system is a bit like going to a library and requesting that the librarian gets you specific books from the archive. In order to make it work, focus on small chunks centered around the areas that you remember, and if possible, guided towards the areas that you wish to remember. So this brings us to the next tip, which is really important. Focus on what you can recall, not what's missing. By doing this, you keep a positive momentum and allow your mind to start joining the dots. Often when you can't recall something, you've got a mistaken idea in the place that your mind keeps going back to, and you don't want to repeat that. Or when you can't recall, it causes anxiety and it breaks the flow. So if you're wanting to remember that the gift you gave that person, start to remember everything around the time of their birthday. Remember when you saw them. Remember everything that you can recall. Maybe the card, maybe how old that person was. All these things start to help your mind to fill in the blanks. Now, when filling the blanks, it's important to have confidence. Have you ever had an experience whereby someone's shown you a picture from the past? Wow, and when you look at that, it all comes back. Well, if you start practicing this technique, you're going to find that memory can trigger like that just through exploration. Have confidence that it's all in there. Now, with this confidence in mind, you can avoid what I'm about to add as my next tip. Don't speculate or start to try to calculate. So often when people don't remember, they start to come up with ideas of what it could be, and they're engaging the creative part of their mind. Maybe I got them this, maybe I got them that, they like this, so I might have got that for them. Then you start to confuse things. Not only are you in the wrong gear, you're meant to be doing recall, not creation, but you might start to confuse reality with these ideas. So focus on what you can recall and on what you would be able to recall around that. Add details to everything that you can remember and enjoy that process, which is the final tip. Use this as an enjoyable way to improve the mind. Walk around in that memory, savouring every small detail. Can you remember the tone of someone's voice? Can you remember the small details of what happened, what the food tasted like, what the weather was like? Really enjoy this as you would a a game of chess or a Sudoku puzzle or something like that. And you'll find that this engaged enjoyment and the momentum of each success that you gain releases the hidden potential in the mind the way you're seeking. If you make this part of the ongoing disciplines of your life, then you will find that this kind of real life recall starts to improve. And there's a knock-on effect in many other areas that comes from this. My name's Martin Faulks, and I hope that this video is a blessing for anyone hoping to be able to remember what's happened in their life better and thus be able to enjoy and function in the present better. Until next time, let's let every word, thought and action count.